Okay guys, you have seen how one of these radios does after it's been modified and the performance that it has. Now we want to test out one brand new stock out of the box. Just want to kind of show you guys, and you can determine on your own whether the price difference is worth the whether it's worth the price difference to get one of these bone stock, or whether you should have one modified. I'll try to point out a few of the benefits to having one modified in the video, and talk about some of that stuff. Of course, you know, you've probably seen people tell you you don't need to get a radio modified, that you should leave it bone stock. You're only doing damage when you get it modified. I happen to be on the other end of that spectrum. No, not just because I sell radios. I'm happy to sell people stock radios. That's fine. But, you know, I don't think that's in people's best interest to run a bone stock radio. There are certain modifications that need to be done. Specifically if you plan to run an amplifier. Now that's relating to newer style radios. I'm not saying tube type radios need to be modified, but most of your newer transistor type radios do need some sort of modification to get optimal performance out of your station. Does that mean that you can't get performance out of a stock radio? No, it does not. But for optimal performance, meaning the best performance you can get, I do recommend having a radio modified to a certain degree. That doesn't mean snip and clip everything in sight. It doesn't mean turn every pot on the inside of the radio wide open. It just means certain things need to be done. Anyway, I'll show you guys how it does. You can compare it to the other video yourself. A couple of things to note. Obviously, in the other video, I had the mic gain down here around 9 o'clock, which we can start down there with this one. We'll go about 8:30, 9 o'clock. I think that's where I had it. And if you notice, that thing had plenty of audio that low. And we're still running our Superstar mic. We haven't changed anything. Obviously, I want to give the radio a fair shake, bone stock, because, you know, I have bone stock ones to sell. So I'm not going to degrade the radio and try to make it look worse than it is, because I actually have some of these to sell. And also remember the power output we were doing. You can refer back to the video yourself, but just for instance, average power, we were swinging about 10 watts average, and that was from about a 1 watt dead key all the way up to a 7 watt dead key. And if you also remember just modulating into the mic normal, we were seeing some good movement on average power. Just a couple things to remember before we get started here, okay? Mic gain, we've got it around 9 o'clock, 8, 9 o'clock. We'll turn our monitor radio on in the background here. Don't see a problem with that. And we'll go ahead and key it up and see how it does. So, audio, check, check. Audio, check, check. Audio, check, check. Audio, audio. You can see by the meter on the front, it's not responding particularly well to this Superstar mic. Audio. Now, if we scream into it, it does. But you can see we're talking normal. It's just not doing like it was before. But what we can do, we can turn the mic gain up, and you start seeing it pick up a little bit. Still not like ear-busting audio. It's getting better. There you go. There's wide open. And you just about need to run it wide open to get decent performance out of it, in my opinion. Now, bone stock radio, I would not run a noise-canceling mic on this radio whatsoever. I would highly recommend, if you want to run a bone stock radio, spend the money to get a power mic. It'll do your radio a lot more justice. They just don't perform quite right with a non-amplified mic, or a definitely not a noise canceling mic. Okay, so that being said, you know, use your own judgment on that. You guys saw how it did before versus stock. So you can use your own judgment there. The next thing we're going to do, maybe the most important part to people, is check out how it performs on the watt meter. So we'll turn the monitor radio off. We'll leave the mic gain wide open for this. 50 watt slug. There's the mic gain wide open. Not pulling any Houdinis or anything here. We want to give it a fair shake. I'll go ahead and key the radio up. And that's about a 3 watt dead key. Audio, audio. It's trying to hit 5 watts, but as you can see, very low, not really responsive on average power. Again, guys, I have not touched the mic gain. I'm leaving it alone. Audio, audio, audio. audio into about 4 watts, and talking into it, radio check, radio check, radio check. You know, 3.5, 4 watts average. Let's go to PEP. Check, check, audio, check, 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 audio. Was that about 16 watts? Check, 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 audio, check, check. About 16 watts PEP. Now, that being said, different slug, it could show less. You put this thing on a dosimeter that does not read true PEP. I repeat, a dosimeter does not read true PEP. If you put this thing on a dosimeter, you're going to be lucky to see 10 watts out of it. It might do 10 or 12 watts PEP on a dosi. Again, dosi claims that they read peak. They do not read true peak power. Even when they're in the peak setting, it's not true PEP. But that's it, guys. Uniden PC78LTX. This is the stock version. I showed the modified version earlier. I just want to do this for a FYI, educational video maybe. Just something people should know before they buy a stock radio. 3.5 to 4 watts dead key is what you can expect out of a brand new radio. That is too much for a low drive amp. That's too much, too much, too much. It's too much for an RM Italy amp. It's too much for most any amp that's considered low drive. So just keep that in mind. PC78LTX bone stock demonstration, roostercb.com. Hope you guys have a great day. Catch you later. See you, bye.